Hello and welcome to this pattern recognition video for intermediate players. I have the rating set at 1200 to 1600. I'll try and do around 5 puzzles. Pause the video at any time if you need to calculate longer. Also, if these are too hard or too difficult for you, I'm going to try and alternate doing a beginner puzzle one day, then an intermediate puzzle, then an advanced puzzle. And if they're still not hard enough for you, maybe in the future I'll go to expert or master level puzzles. But feel free to leave comments and let me know what you think. I always enjoy hearing what the viewers and subscribers have to say. Also, let's look. We might as well begin here. Let's look at a good system. If you're trying to solve a puzzle, you're not sure what to do. Count up the material. To see where you stand. Here we have the black pieces. It looks like for pawns, we have 7 pawns. Our opponent has 6, so we're ahead by 1 pawn. Make sure I can count here. Yes, we're ahead by 1 pawn. We have 3 minor pieces, as does our opponent. 2 rooks and a queen. Okay, what do you do first? Well, checks, captures, and threats. You want to look at checks first, as they are most forcing. So what do we do here? Do we have any checks? I mean, we could go here, but we would just be captured. And I don't see any other checks. No other checks available. What about captures? Now, if you see an unprotected piece on the board, you definitely want to see if there's a way to capture it. Now, our opponent has this unprotected bishop, an unprotected pawn over here, an unprotected queen. Okay, and then these, well, that rook is unprotected. So there are a few unprotected pieces, but nothing we can just immediately capture for free. And now what just happened? Our opponent's queen was under attack here by the bishop. And it looks like it moved here to h4. Now, if we don't have any checks or captures, now we have to look at threats. Maybe we can threaten to checkmate or threaten to, by attacking a piece. I mean, we could chase this bishop, but it could run to safety. Maybe there is a better move. Now, hopefully you found the answer here. Take a look and pause the video if you need to. Maybe there's a way we can trap a piece that has limited mobility, limited number of squares that it can move to. Now that queen was just under attack, so that should be a hint. See if there's a way that we can trap that queen and capture it. All right, hopefully you found this, and it's a little bit tricky. That's why these are intermediate puzzles. Now, if you're a beginner, you can solve my beginner puzzles in the beginner videos, but you might want to work up to these and see what you'll have to learn in the future. And if they're too easy for you, well, hopefully you'll be able to go through these as a refresher and then enjoy the advanced puzzles in the future, which I will have tomorrow for you. All right. We want to attack that queen. How can we do that? Of course, if we go here with our queen, they'll just trade and it'll be an even trade. But we have a rook here that we can move and attack the queen. It'll be backed up by our queen. And where can the opponent run to? The only spot available will be for the queen to move to h3. And then that will allow a discovered attack with check, a discovered attack on the queen and a check by the rook. So try and calculate that out in your head if you can. If you're ready, here we go. So we're going to check. Queen's going to move here, and then we're going to move all the way back up here, checking the king. And the rook can capture our rook, but we will grab the queen. So check. Oh, and that was unexpected. All right. I guess I didn't calculate everything completely. I overlooked the possibility of just capturing here. But do we still have something? Let's take a look here. That just threw a wrench in the works. Okay. It was the right move at least, but now we have to recalculate. Okay. Probably have to go here because we don't want the queen moving down, checking our king, and then taking our rook possibly. So if we go there, the opponent has nowhere to go then. So we still trapped the queen, but I didn't calculate thoroughly, which happens. And I think I would be a higher rated player if my calculation abilities were better and faster. Who wouldn't be better if they could calculate better? But I kind of did some research on this and found that we're kind of born with a processing speed. And that's why pattern recognition can help, because you'll recognize patterns more with less calculation. But in the end, you still need to calculate. And that's where harder puzzles will help, because you'll have more calculation training with the pattern recognition. All right, so it looks like that traps the queen. But now they're counterattacking our queen. Now, we could just take, and then if they take, we'll grab a knight, and I believe we would just go ahead and material. But is there a way we can save our queen and not have them escape? I don't think so. I think we just have to take the queen. All right, and then we just come out ahead that knight. So that pattern, these are a little more difficult. And that one, I don't know, kind of surprised me a little bit. I overlooked one possibility, so that's where that calculation comes in, and that's important too. But I did recognize the pattern of trying to trap the queen there. All right, on to problem number 2. We just had a capture in the center. We have, let's see, 6 pawns. Our opponent does as well. They have 4 minor pieces, so do we. We have queen and 2 rooks. So material is even, but the bishop is attacking our rook here. Now, an obvious move might be to just take that bishop to stop that attack. But if we look at checks, captures, and threats, maybe we have something better. All right, immediate checks. The queen could go up along this open D file, checking here or here, but it could be captured by the knight, either knight, queen, king. So also the queen could go here, delivering a check. So that's definitely something to look at, because not only are we checking, we're lining up on that bishop, but the bishop is protected. So maybe we could take, if they take, we can check and then pick up that knight. The problem is we have to make sure that our opponent doesn't have any surprise checks that could throw a wrench in the works here. So what could give us problems? Well, they have a check here. So if we captured, they could check us, but then we could block with our knight. So if we just take and they don't take, they check us first here, well then our knight could retreat, blocking the check, and we would just be up a piece, and I don't see any good follow-up for the opponent. All right, so I think that works. We just grab the bishop. they're either going to capture with their knight, and that gives us time to check. Oh, but then the opponent could block. Maybe that doesn't work because the opponent could block here and they would be attacking the knight. Oh, wait, it might still work. All right, so we capture. They take. We check. They block. And then, we could move our bishop to pin that knight. But that wouldn't work, would it? Because they could take our queen. All right, so this one's turning out to be trickier than I thought here. If we look at checks first, we have another check here as well. Okay, so that takes care of that problem. Once we check, if the queen tries to block, then our bishop can pin to the king. All right, so it still works. Here we go. Pause the video, calculate, and look at it more if you want to. If not, we're going to take. And we didn't have to do all that calculation because they didn't even, well, let's see what happens. Maybe we do. Okay, they just decide to block that way because of that pin by the bishop if they put the queen there instead of that knight. So now we can just take with check, and we're ahead in material. 3 minor pieces to their 2. All right, on to the next problem. That was a 1560 rated problem. So what did I put the level at 1200 to 1600. So these are a little more difficult. Okay, rook has moved to the center, attacking our queen. So that's something to be aware of. Let's count up the material. We have 5 pawns versus 6, and 2 rooks and a queen, and bishop versus bishop. So once again, we're down a pawn, but all the other material is even. So what do we have available here? Okay, well, the obvious thing is that we have this bishop under attack too by a pawn, but the problem is our queen is under attack. So maybe we need to deal with that first. And if we're looking at checks first, we have a bishop check here. And it depends what captures that. If the rook were to capture, well, then our queen could capture here with check. And we still have this attack going here with the bishop and the pinned piece here. But we have to watch out. No, I think that still works. All right, well, let's take another look at it just to double check our calculation. As I mentioned, I would probably be a higher rated player if my calculation speed was better. Because if I have plenty of time, I can calculate pretty good. But man, I've been playing a lot of 5-minute blitz chess, and I'm probably winning a high percentage of the games, but I end up losing on time, or the opponent will just move the pieces around real fast and I can't click on the mouse fast enough. Maybe I need a better mouse or something. And I end up losing, the majority of the games on time, even though I was winning and ahead in material. All right. What is our option? I mean, this is an obvious move. We capture here with check. If the rook captures, we grab their rook. If the queen captures, then what? If the queen captures, our queen is still under attack. Oh, then we could... Okay, if the queen captures our bishop, we could go here. Take. Rook takes. Oh, no, hold on. The queen would take. I'm thinking maybe we do that first. Now, that's something important to look at. Sometimes your move order needs to change, where one move order works and the other one doesn't. So what if first, instead of taking with the bishop, we take here first? Rook. So we capture, rook captures. We get 2 rooks for the queen, and the 2 rooks are worth maybe a little bit more, the equivalent of 10 pawns versus the queen 9 pawns. So our rook will be up here after this trade, delivering a check. The king will probably just move. And then, well, we could just grab this, grab the bishop. All right, to keep the video from going on too long, that's what I'm going to try. So I'm going to give up the queen for both of the rooks, delivering a check. The king will have to step forward probably, and then gives us time to capture the bishop. We would go ahead and material. The pawn would probably capture. So I think that works. Let's see. Okay, that's what they wanted. Then we can just grab this. Okay, and if we look at the material now, we have 2 rooks for the queen. And a lot of beginners, even some intermediates, they don't like making that trade of the queen for the 2 rooks. But 2 rooks versus the queen is, as long as the rooks are coordinated, you have to watch out, and that your king is not exposed, so you don't have a fork by the queen that picks up one of those rooks. But here we're ahead in material. We have 5 pawns, our opponent has 6, but we have this extra bishop. Okay, the final 2 problems. Here we go. The queen has just moved over here, creating a battery. Okay, but that is leaving our bishop unprotected. Oh, but it's threatening here. Okay, so we have the black pieces, but it's kind of funny how the board, or excuse me, we have the white pieces, I should say, because our opponent just moved here. Okay. Get it together. Let's count up the material first. We have 2 pawns, they have 3. We're under attack here, about to get checkmated. So we need to act immediately or we're going to be checkmated. We have 2 minor pieces, so we're just down by a pawn and a rook. So yes, we need to do something in a hurry here. Look at checks first. Well, we have a bishop check, but we also have a queen check. And hopefully you found the answer. So we're going to check with the queen. The king will be forced into the corner. And then I would like to say, now this is where you have to be careful. We are going to have this queen bishop battery, but we don't want to go here to deliver the check, or the knight will capture us. And if I look at this further, it looks like we can't even take the knight because the bishop is covering that. So we need to be careful here. So queen captures here. King is forced into the corner. And then we have to be a little creative here. We have to move here and deliver the check. The knight will block, and then we can capture on g8. So check. Now we have to watch out. All these pieces are covering things. So we have to go here and deliver the check, and then mate with the bishop and queen battery. So that was a great little puzzle pattern there, using that bishop and queen battery, but having to maneuver around the defenders. And that was a good, also another good example of it takes an average of 3 pieces to checkmate the opponent's king, sometimes more or less depending on the defenders. And here it only took 2. Okay, the final puzzle. We just had the white rook checking the king. The king starts running forward to the only square possible because of this pawn. So, do we have the 3 defenders that we need, or excuse me, 3 attackers that we need? We have a rook and a queen, but we have this pawn assisting as well, and that pawn will play an important part. So hopefully you figured this pattern out. Take a look at it, try and solve it if you can. If we do a quick material count, we see that we have 1 extra pawn, this very important pawn here, and the rest of the material is even. But our opponent, do they have any threats? They can't check with their queen. That doesn't matter because we have the winning move here. So look at the checks first, and hopefully you'll solve this one. It's a little bit tricky, but we're going to use the queen and the rook together to overrun the opponent's king position. So hopefully you found this. Pause if you need more time. If not, here we go. We're going to check the king, sacrificing the rook. And by doing this, we're going to, and I always get these a little mixed up. I'll have to look at it again. You have decoy and deflection. One pulls a piece onto another square, and the other one pulls the piece, I believe, away from a square. But we're going to, I think, decoy the king onto this h8 square, because the only thing that can be done is to capture that rook, and then our queen can deliver a check. The king will run to g8 and will deliver a mate with the help of that very valuable pawn. So check, check, and mate, queen and pawn, with that rook helping. Great pattern there to end the video with. Okay, so that was an intermediate video. Tomorrow I'll have the advanced video with harder problems, and just feel free to leave comments. Let me know if you want, this sequence that I'm doing, or what I plan to do is one beginner video, then the next day an intermediate video, and then the third day a advanced video, and then maybe every 4th day I'll throw in some random puzzle that could be on anything. And if there's a topic that you want to hear about, just feel free to leave a comment. If you want to see an opening video or end game, strategy, whatever, or if you like the chess guess series where you can just guess the moves along with me. But for today, I'm going to wrap it up. As I said, feel free to leave comments, like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching, and have a super chess day.